back on Starting Gate. Tech-savvy, independent, driven by instant gratification. Well, the caricature of the millennial worker is known far and wide, but there's also no denying that they're changing the way work is done. Nowhere is this more evident than in the rise of co-working spaces. And here to talk about their latest research on that is Dinbo Macaranas. He's a Senior Manager for Research at Colliers International. Dinbo, welcome to the show. Good to have you. First things first, let's define terms. What exactly is considered a co-working space versus a flexi-working space?
Okay, so more broadly, flexible workspaces are really, you have factors that go along with it. One, they allow short-term leases. Two, they have, they allow you to, well, firstly, you have your short-term leases. Secondly,
fully functional?
Fully functional as well. You have your seat, you have your air conditioning, and it's ready to use.
Modern amenities, in other words.
Essentially, that's what it provides. But if you zero in on the Philippine flexible workspaces, you have practically three options, three types of it. You have your serviced offices, which provides all those functions, and then you have your hosted services, which provides those functions plus providing you with non-core services such as your IT, your HR staffing, even sometimes your
back
office operations, even accounting. Now, the third one, which is co-working, would be one where it provides all of it, but at the same time allows collaboration among all the individuals who are occupying the space. So basically, co-working creates that community.
That's interesting because I always assumed co-working, flexi-working, all of these spaces allow for collaboration. But interesting that you point out the industry definition to me. Let's get into your report. The most telling graphic, at least for me, is the one showing how big a part of the workforce millennials now are. Take a look at that, 44%. That's the red slice right there. Gen X is 41%. Baby boomers at 15%. Next gen is at, well, it should be less than 7%. But you know, explain to me how this has fueled the co-working industry in the Philippines.
Basically, if you look at it, really, you look at the millennials. I'd like us to focus on the millennials because today they're 44%. These are your tech-savvy individuals who will be part of the labor force moving forward. Even if you move on to your next generation, these will be tech-savvy individuals as well. These will be driven, and they would like to be in a workspace where it's comfortable, it's functional, and at the same time, it creates that environment for them to be able to collaborate with others. And so, at the end of the day, we feel that co-working or flexible workspaces in general would be really a good avenue for operators to grow and to continuously invest in.
But these types of workspaces didn't even come online until 2011.
Yeah. It was only in 2011 when these co-working spaces flourished. I think at the end of the day, it's really because it had to cater to this growing number of millennials. That there are more entrepreneurs today than at any point in time in our history. Freelancers are estimated at around 1.3 million today. If you look at the recent data of the DTI, you have your small, micro, and medium enterprises growing from 760,000 in 2008 up now to over 1 million as well. So, and then you have the recent passage of the Go Negosyo Act.
Right.
You have the National Broadband Deal also coming up. And at the end of the day, you see all these factors playing in. You have, well, for us in Colliers, we believe that there are basically 5 drivers to this co-working space. You have multinational companies occupying co-working spaces or flexible workspaces. You have technology continuously growing. You have your BPOs also continuously driving the market. And then you have your small and medium enterprises, entrepreneurs growing. And finally, you have your millennials. Millennials, again, largely affects all these other factors. That's why we believe it's going to drive the market moving forward.
That's a lot of push factors. And do you know what? Despite all of this growth, I note with interest that the forecast for office stock in the Philippines trails that of the rest of the region. Your forecast, this is Collier's forecast, is just 10% growth over the next 3 years versus 30% for the rest of Asia Pacific. Why is that?
Well, if you look at it really, what's unique with the Philippines, or in Metro Manila in particular, is that you have our stock growing only at a mere 7% annually, overall office stock. And then you also have a characteristic where in the Asia Pacific region, such as your Hong Kong and your Singapore, their co-working spaces right now are just at they average at around 3,000, 4,000 square meters. For us, co-working spaces today are just below 500 square meters. So if you look at the growth, that 10% is actually a positive growth already for the market, considering that demand for office space last year was just growing at 7%. Our stock was just growing at 8%. So that 10% is actually a positive growth already.
And at least it's double digits.
Exactly.
So the potential for flexi workspaces is undeniable. It's there. What I want to know is this a business that traditional developers should get into? Does it make commercial sense for them? And I ask because there was some interest recently when Ayala Land partnered with Accelerate for its first venture into the co-working spaces.
Yeah, well, I think yes, largely because it's redefining the requirements of office spaces in these days. And at the end of the day, if you're a developer, a major developer, you'd like to be part of this segment that is growing. I mean, it doesn't have to be huge at this point. If you look at Hong Kong, you have Blueprint allocating Swire's Blueprint allocating 2 floors for their co-working. And it's essentially the same also for the mills also in Hong Kong. So here in the Philippines, it's also possible. As mentioned, you have Ayala last week just launching Clock In together with Accelerate, and they took up the entire penthouse of the Makati Stock Exchange Center. So, I mean, these are good. These are really good examples today. And if we look forward, considering again your millennial workforce and how workspaces are really changing across the sub-markets of Metro Manila, this is really a good opportunity for them.
So as far as you're concerned, it does make commercial sense.
Yes,
all right,
it does.
We're gonna have to leave it there. Dinbo Macaranas, Senior Manager for Research at Colliers International. Thanks for your time today.
Thank you very much.